Welcome and thank you for joining us. This month, our student panel from around the district and Dr. Waddell are discussing the Bring Your Own Technology program and how it is helping students to be successful in school, as well as preparing them for their future. First, I'd like to have Dr. Waddell introduce himself, and then our student panelists will introduce themselves. Dr. Waddell?
Hi, I'm Steve Waddell, Superintendent of Schools, and I'm excited to be here this evening.
Great, thank you.
Hi, my name is Nandita Singh, and I'm a senior at Hebron High School.
My name is Ben Hladky, and I'm a junior at Flower Mound.
Hi, I'm Kelly Bui, and I'm from Louisville High School.
I'm Kendall Sessions, and I'm a freshman from the Colony High School.
I'm Lauren Piazza, and I'm a senior from Louisville High School.
Lauren, why don't you start with our first question for today?
This question is from Dalton, Dallas. Is a shift to update electronic textbooks a possibility in the near future?
That's a great question. It's already happening. The legislature made some changes in how we receive what we now call instructional resources. They combined the old technology allotment with the textbook allotment. One of the reasons we had that is because it's hard to change a textbook. You know, once you've published it, there's a lot of money that goes into that. And so we've kind of needed to keep them for a while. But with digital resources, you can update them continuously. And already they've allowed school districts to select those digital resources rather than traditional textbooks. Here this last year, ebooks have eclipsed paper books in terms of people buying new novels and buying from bookstores. Ebooks are now the largest selling books. So people are moving that way. So this is definitely the way things are going for sure.
Lauren, what do you prefer? Do you prefer to have all your textbooks in a backpack or in a digital format?
Well, when it comes to textbooks, I personally like the ebooks because those literature books can get really heavy.
Yeah.
But when it comes to normal novels and stuff like that, I prefer the real book.
Kendall, would you like to ask your question?
What is the goal with BYOT?
The goal for BYOT? Well, it's just to really, honestly, the important goal is to just put more resources in the hands of our kids and teachers. The most important thing, besides the information, though, is the engagement for the kids in terms of, being part of the learning that day. So it just gives us more resources to choose from. It's not something you use all the time, but it's something that really can enrich, and it's there and it's available. And so that's the chief goal. It also does help us from a money standpoint. They are things that you already have and you know how to use and probably like to use, probably better at using it than people like Ms. Permetti and I. And so it just gives us the ability to let you learn in a way that we might have a hard time doing otherwise.
Kendall, what do you think about the Bring Your Own Technology program?
I think that was a great idea. Like, some teachers use the technology to help with, in English, like how you said, we use our technology a lot with looking up words from dictionary.com, and it's just easier and it's more faster.
Kelly, would you like to ask your question?
For teachers who do use technology in their classrooms, what about the kids that don't have a smartphone or electronic devices?
There's several ways to look at that. Hebron piloted Bring Your Own Technology last spring in the 9th grade center. And I visited a number of those classes, and what the teachers were doing a good job, they're putting kids in group work, collaborative situations where they're working on projects together. And I noticed the kids shared those, shared the technology they had. We're going to have to look at a district too, what we can provide. We've made a lot of purchases of iPads here in just this last year, and that's going to grow. Our campuses are all clamoring to have those. And another thing, getting back to the question on textbooks, one of the nice things about that bill was when it allows for schools to also invest in technology, not just the online stuff, but also to make purchases. So we're going to try to make sure that all kids have opportunity. We don't want to see anyone get left behind.
Kelly, what has been your perspective of the Bring Your Own Technology program?
I think it's positive because it gives us like more ways to research things and like get on the computer, and you don't have to go to the computer lab. And I think it's more useful, but for some kids, like there's around like maybe like 6 people in a class that don't have it. It's kind of like, oh, I have to share. Yeah.
Well, hopefully we can close that. I guess the bottom line on your question is we felt like let's go ahead and do it now because more good can be accomplished from you taking advantage of it than it would by waiting.
Benjamin, would you like to ask your question?
Sure. This is on behalf of Flower Mound High School. Will this policy limit the district's expenses on school-owned computers for classrooms, labs, and libraries, and how would this money be used?
I think what it does is help us leverage our money. Money is an issue. School finance is a hot topic, and the Louisville, like all districts in Texas, has had their funding cut. It's cut this year. It'll be cut again next year, so we're concerned about that. But you try to take the money that you have and leverage it to where you can do the most good with it. Then we can take the money that we have and put it in other places. So it's what I call a hybrid model, and it's not a question of saving money. It's a question of being able to take the money that we have and put it somewhere else to support what we want to do with technology, because you can use your mobile devices that you already have and we don't have to purchase those. And I think most people in their computing, they're using their cell phones. They prefer to use those more often because they're easier to carry. And unless you have a lot of difficult work, complex work, using a lot of power, you're going to use your more mobile technology, and that's what nearly everybody does. It'd be a huge expenditure, and that means we couldn't spend money on other things that we need to support what you do. So by allowing this, it gives us a real opportunity from a financial standpoint to say, okay, we don't need to do that. We can leverage this over to something else. A few years ago, really 1 or 2 or 3 years ago, a lot of districts were doing something called one-to-one technology, and what they generally meant by that was one-to-one laptops. Buy every student in the school a laptop. I think now when we think of one-to-one, when I think of one-to-one now, I think more of one-to-one is whatever technology it is that you need to do a particular job in your schoolwork. That's one-to-one. It may be a laptop. It may be a PC that has a lot of computing power to it, but it may be your cell phone. By allowing people to use what they already have, it's really given us a lot of flexibility in the district, both in terms of what we provide you and also the way how we can use our money to best effect.
Then why don't you share or tell us what's your favorite part of BYOT? Or do you have something that's happened that you really recognize that BYT was good for you?
One thing that I really enjoy about BYOT is that the technology that we use is ours, and that when we were at the school using the school's technology, everything that we did was saved on the school's memory. We couldn't get it at school and we couldn't get it at home unless we emailed it to ourselves or saved it on a flash drive or something like that. And it's very hard to get access to. And when I started bringing my iPad to school and doing all of my work on that, and so I have it pretty much everywhere I go, and I can work on it whenever I need to. So it's very much less limited access to all of the work that I'm doing for school, and also it's just a lot more comfortable to use as well.
Maybe Nandita, why don't you ask your question?
Okay. Do you believe students use technology properly during instruction time and don't misuse it?
I think I'd be naive to say it's never misused. And that's probably true anywhere. There is an appropriate way to use technology. And when you're in meetings, when I have meetings, it's like this here. They asked us to turn our cell phones off. There's a right and a wrong way to use things. And I think most people do what they're supposed to do. I've talked to a number of students, and you guys can tell me what you think about this. But I think students have indicated to me that when you treat them in a way that you trust them, they tend to live up to that. What do y'all think? What's been your experience? Do you what I said about living up to trust and responsibility, and do you think that's true, or do you think I'm off base on that one?
I think that most teachers are able to manage the classroom appropriately for the technology, and that, in the times when people would use the technology out of place, they don't have much of an opportunity to do that. And then most people are pretty responsible with the technology in the way they use it.
There are certain students in classes that just do not want to learn, and they will sit there and text, and it is quite annoying to the other students that want to be there. But they were doing that before anyway, so I find it beneficial.
I find it beneficial in the hands of a high school student. I know that there's not much of a difference between 8th grade and 9th grade, but I tutor at Arbor Creek occasionally. Each week, and the students now, it seems, are a little bit less attentive when they have their cell phones and their music out. And I don't know how it must feel as a teacher to be standing up there and seeing your class have some cell phones out, and while you're trying to give a lesson. I think that if there were more rules implemented on behalf of the teachers, then it might be a little bit more effective on both ends, so that there is time, there is freedom that you can use it in the hallways or during passing periods. But when you're supposed to be learning, even if you're not specifically tuned into the lesson, you can still pick up some stuff.
The whole idea behind this is teachers have control about what goes on. The way it should be used and the way we intend it to be used is that the teachers need to let the students know in what way it's going to be used, and students need to do that in an appropriate manner, which I think most do. So there's a place for it, and there's some times when there's a place that it should not be used, and that's always up to the teacher to decide.
Nandita, you're a senior, and you're about to go off to college in the fall. Tell me, has BYOT helped you be a better student and prepare you for college life when it comes to taking notes and having your work with you at all times? Do you think that has helped you or will help you when you go to college?
I definitely think it's going to be a great help. I take my laptop with me to school almost every day because I use it for newspaper. When I'm not in newspaper, I'm using it to take notes, and I like having my notes organized and clean the first time around. I am a little bit OCD in the manner where I would take notes at school, go back home, and then type them. But now I can just do it all at once and have it all with me together. And I know that's how my sister handled it in college. So getting to college, it won't be weird for me to have my laptop and make sure I'm keeping track of it at the same time, being responsible for my technology at school and around at home.
So you think you've been able to learn those skills to adjust, and you'll be there in the fall? Mm-hmm. Well, I appreciate all of you coming and sharing your questions and your answers. It's been the most amazing experience and hearing your perspectives. And so I want to thank you for tuning in to this month's Insight, and we look forward to seeing you next month.